when I was watching that video back, I noticed that I did make a couple of mistakes in my words. Sometimes I make mistakes in my words and in the numbers, specifically figures. But anyway, I think it was more or less what I felt I thought I was saying. There's lots of different reasons for poverty. Depression is one of them, and it's weird how people do seem to be becoming more and more like me. But yeah, that could be good or it could be bad, because technically I'm miserable, depressed, feeling like I've had such a deprived life, feeling completely cut off, isolated, hating everyone, and therefore being like me could just mean having positivity in sense of wanting a better world, because that's pretty much all I've ever done, just wanted something better. Or it could just mean a whole bunch of other things, which is that I hate society that has happened, and I hate how I don't even know why it's happened. I don't know why people are ignoring me. I don't know why the government are not trying to do anything to actually help me or make my life better. I mean, you could make my life better by giving me benefits, but if that's also means giving other people benefits too, well, you're not helping society, because people on benefits are getting into the habit of lazy habits. But yeah, I always find it really annoying how there are so many people that would just spend money on like just anything, and I've never had that. Like, I've never had that desire. My uncle has been on benefits all his life, and the number of times he's just bought a packet of crisps for like £2 in a restaurant or in a pub, or the number of people that go into local newsagents and just buy anything. I would never do that, and I don't even know, like, I'm trying to understand why they would do that and why I wouldn't do it, and I guess because my only goal was only to ever have a property, and you've destroyed the one thing that I wanted by not allowing me to have it. I feel like my sense of wanting to buy, like, one of those small bottles of drinks, or I don't know, just a random small Ribena or a Tango or a Fanta, just those small bottles, like, I would never buy it. I'd go to Poundland and you can buy two for £1, and that stopped happening because that's gone out now. But I don't know. I've never understood the concept of just going into a local agency and buying stuff. Like, the only time I've ever done that is if someone's actually given me money to go off and do that. My uncle sometimes comes around and gives me a tenner and tells me to go and buy A, B, and C or whatever, and I do it. But I've never had that incentive to do that, and when I'm trying to analyze why, and it's just because of the struggles that I faced with being able to get a job, and just feeling like I don't belong here, like I can't fit in with the system, because the system doesn't help me, and it never has. And I think the system of English just doesn't help me, and it never has. That why didn't I go to I was signing on to the dole every single week for like 3 years in a row, and the only job I was able to get was a job that kind of just made me realize that the people who were in that job had no clue what they were doing, because they signed on like a gigantic exhibition in Expo, Talent Expo, he was going to call it, but there was like a big exhibition. I think he gave £20,000 to rent out a gigantic hall, which was supposed to cost 40,000, and he used government funding to buy this. And he had 3 people or 4 people working on selling stalls, 4 people on selling tickets, and then there was like a creative team that were helping to run this event. But we couldn't sell any tickets. No one could hear about it. The promotion just wasn't being done properly. He was completely out of his league. He had no idea what he was doing. I think you should have start small and work up bigger. And he just thought that you could just rent out a big exhibition and people would just show up. And that's just not what happened. And yet the government was happy to fund this, even though it was just one big waste of money. We all got paid for I think we got paid 3 months, and the 4th month, it should have been for 6 months, but we could clearly see that we weren't going to be able to get enough tickets to put on the event. I think the event was on the 4th month, and we hadn't sold any tickets. We were supposed to sell like thousands of tickets, and we hadn't sold any. And I don't know, but he had no clue what he was doing. He was just lying to everyone about how this was beneficial. But I think my experience from that was just so bad that I just had no confidence in anything, and I couldn't understand how job work. I couldn't understand how any job works because I never understood work because I'd never been given work. You know, you learn from your experiences, and if no one ever gives you any experience in employment, then you can't understand how employment works, how businesses work, how shops work, and so just living feeling like just you don't understand anything around you. It's not a nice or pleasant experience, and when you just don't feel like you can talk to people because there's some sort of block or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's something that I've always had to live with, and yeah, it's just this constant feel like you don't belong here, and it's good to be like me, but not if that's what it means. And I've done a map on it. I've talked about the countries. Sweden is there. I thought because I said it was Sweden. I didn't know Switzerland is I often get Switzerland. Where's Switzerland? I never really look at this map. I'm sure you've been to, is that Switzerland? I've been there before. I know I've been to Switzerland. So I think Switzerland's there. Sweden's up that one. So yeah, Sweden's the one at the top. And Norway's there. But I don't know. But if there's going to be like a massive housing market crash, I can't understand why anyone would want to live up here. Up here is going to be freezing cold. I've never been up there. I know there's the jet stream actually makes England a lot colder than it should be. I think the jet stream comes around here, and therefore even though England is further south than this place, England, I don't know, but wherever there are like minus 10 degrees, people are not going to want to live there. So my guess is that when this housing market collapses, all the people who are living sort of in the sort of winter area, the areas that get very, very cold, probably Iceland as well, they might actually prefer to live more south. But yeah, I've never been to Sweden. It is Sweden. That is, and Norway. I've never been to these places. Denmark is very cold in the winter, but Denmark has a very good, I've heard that Denmark has a very good infrastructure, like economy or something. Like, I heard people are very happy there because it work. I don't know. Heard good things about Denmark, and I think I've been there. I think I might have been there, or maybe I think I have been to Denmark once. And I don't know. I mean, for me, the English language is very, very important, and therefore I wouldn't want to live in any of these countries because of not being able to speak their language. But yeah, I don't know. I've not really studied them that much. It's weird. I've been saying that I'm God for 18 years, and yet I have kind of no idea like where all the places are. I've never been Slovakia or Estonia. I mean, that picture there from Estonia, that looks like quite a nice place. But I can imagine it also being very, very cold in the winter. Do people actually like living in cold countries? I think some do. I couldn't live in a very cold country. If it's cold or minus degrees like most of the year or most of the 4-month winter or something, I wouldn't want to live there. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I think north of England and Scotland will probably have more problems than the south of England. But I feel like there's going to be